let's talk a little bit about what the real problem might be. Spoiler, it probably isn't motivation. Welcome to You 101, making choices today to create who you want to be tomorrow. I'm Jael, and we're going to talk today about motivation. Last night, I went to a magic show here in my hometown, and they did a mind reading trick. And I thought, I bet I could do that with you right now. I'm going to read your mind. Here goes. Some mornings you wake up and you can barely drag yourself out of bed, much less do the things you have to do. Some days, it's all you can do to show up for life, and even that feels like a major accomplishment. Some days, school or work feel like an unclimbable mountain. Chores seem endless and impossible. Even the things that you usually love to do, like hanging out with friends or working on a favorite hobby, seem like too much to manage. All you want to do is stay in bed all day and watch You 101 videos. How did I do? Did I read your mind? Is that true of you, at least sometimes? This may shock you, but it doesn't take a mind reader to know that about you. It's called motivation. We all find it hard to come by, sometimes. The problem is, life doesn't pause whenever we want it to. Responsibilities don't go away just because we lack the mojo to tackle them. And that's why it's helpful to have a few tricks up your sleeve to pump up your motivation when you need it. But before we jump to the tricks, let's talk a little bit about what the real problem might be. Spoiler, it probably isn't motivation. Now, some of you are thinking, no, actually it is a motivation problem because the stuff I have to do isn't the stuff I choose to do. That's real. You may not choose to go to school or work or do chores or clean your room. The bad news is tasks like that don't go away as you grow up. They morph into adult responsibilities. The good news is the tricks I'm about to give you will work even for the stuff you didn't choose for yourself. Now, think about your particular situation and ask, is the problem really a lack of motivation or the lack of a plan? Often, we have every intention of doing the work. We just don't know how to make it happen. What we need is an implementation intention. What's an implementation intention? It's a fancy phrase for having a plan, and it works like magic. Here's a real-world breakdown, kind of like a math formula. Let's assume the thing you need motivation for is X. Just like in algebra, X represents a variable. Your X might be doing homework or cleaning your room or emailing a teacher. Think about it for a minute. What's your X? Pause the video if you need to. Now, let's add a couple more variables. If X is the thing you need to do, then Y is a place and Z is a time. That means the magical formula is X, the thing you need to do, equals Y, a place to do it, plus Z, a time to make it happen. If your X is, say, writing an essay for English class, then your Y might be the beanbag in the basement and the Z might be after dinner, but before vegging out with your favorite YouTuber. Maybe you don't love math, but here's the thing. People who make a specific plan and write it down are much more likely to follow through. Now, here are some quick pro tips before making your plan. Number 1, pick a location that you can rely on to be available. For example, don't expect the kitchen to be available on Thursday night during your dad's D&D campaign. Number 2, pick a time when your energy is right. If you aren't mentally at your best right after school, then maybe do it later that night or even in the morning. 3, make it easy. If it helps to have some flaming hot Cheetos and a soda nearby, then think ahead and have them ready. 4, get rid of distractions. Put your phone in the other room, turn off notifications. If you're me, lock your puppy out. Something cool about making a plan, in addition to not procrastinating, is that even if it's something you didn't choose to have to do, how you do it helps define the person you want to be. This brings us to the 3 tricks for how to hack your motivation and make it worth it for you. The first trick is to know that showing up is the hardest part. Think of it like this. Have you ever seen one of those strongest men in the world competitions where the big bulky guy pushes a train boxcar? The hardest part is the very first inch. Why? Because of inertia. You learned this in science class. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. That's how it is with you and me. The longer we don't work on what we need to work on, the stronger the inertia is to keep not working on it. That's why showing up is so important. Don't tell yourself you have to push that train across the country. Just commit to showing up and pushing at that first inch. Because inertia can work with you as well as against you. Once that strawman gets the train rolling that first inch, the second is way easier. Pretty soon he's pushed a few feet, and pretty soon after that, it's rolling on its own, and all he has to do is hold on. That's how it will work for you. Commit to showing up, and you are 95% of the way there. The second trick to kickstarting your motivation is reward yourself for showing up. Have a little conversation with yourself beforehand and negotiate. What reward can I promise myself that will get me to do this thing? What is it for you? What will motivate you to do the thing you need to do? And it's important to be honest with yourself. If a single Oreo isn't going to be enough of a reward, then don't kid yourself. Think about what you're negotiating for. What will it really take to get you to do it? What's the thing you're choosing to do instead of working on your responsibilities? Is it an hour on TikTok or video games or texting your friends? Maybe that can be your reward instead of your distraction. Tell yourself, if I show up for this responsibility and am diligent about it, then I will reward myself with an hour of this thing that I really enjoy. Which brings us to the third trick for kickstarting our motivation. Set a time limit. Some jobs seem huge and daunting because we're looking at the whole thing instead of breaking it into bite-sized bits. So this homework assignment is going to take 5 or 6 hours. Set a timer to work on it for 30 minutes today, assuming you have the time to spread it out. If it's due tomorrow, you're in for an all-nighter, and maybe you should have managed your time a little better, which is a different U101 video entirely. For now, let's assume you're getting yourself in gear early enough to break the assignment up. Instead of freaking yourself out about doing it all at once, set a timer for 30 minutes. Now here's the key though. You need to really do the thing and only the thing during that time. You can't spend the first 15 minutes setting up your space, then checking your text, getting yourself a snack, making sure the dog got taken out, and anything else that could easily fill up that time. When your time begins, you need to be ready and you need to dig in. The cool thing is, when your alarm goes off, you get to be done. You get whatever you decided to reward yourself with. And I expect that you'll be surprised by something. You probably got way more done than you thought you would. Even if not, you got the hardest part. You showed up. You broke the inertia. Yeah, you. And next time you come back to the project, it'll be easier to keep that train rolling. Also, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes. Remember, negotiate with yourself. What will it take to get you to show up? 15 minutes? 5? There's no shame in starting small. So, how might you put these 3 steps into action? I'll give you an example from my own life. A while back, I was feeling kind of stressed out each morning because I had a lot to do before I left the house for school. I was already getting up pretty early, but I needed to get dressed, pack my lunch, eat breakfast, do my yoga, put the dog out, and get out of the door on time. Normal stuff, but there never seemed to be time to get it all done. I thought about what I could do differently that would make my mornings easier. I decided that 2 things might be particularly helpful. I could start the night before by packing my lunch and laying out my clothes. Would it work? Only if I had a plan. I made a reminder on my phone to do my 2 new nighttime tasks. That was several years ago. Now it's become a habit. The difference that's made in my mornings is amazing. In short, my X was to pack my lunch and choose an outfit. My Y was the kitchen, where I packed my lunch, and my bedroom, where I chose my outfit. And my Z was the night before, promptly and predictably. I used the tricks we discussed to help make it happen. I chose a time when I was not rushed. I chose to break up a big task, getting ready in the morning, into small chunks that I could manage. I rewarded myself for doing it by having more free time to have coffee with my husband. Now, something to keep in mind is that it's okay to have a slump sometimes. If a slump becomes the dumps and is hanging around for a long time, then it might not just be a lack of motivation. It might be time to talk to a trusted adult friend. One of the greatest shocks of my life was realizing my daughter had depression. She was 13 years old at the time. What I want you to hear now is that if you constantly feel a lack of interest in life, if nothing engages you, if it's hard just to brush your teeth, then it's time to talk to a safe adult. Please don't put on a plastic smile in the hopes of not being a burden or making everyone else feel better. Relief is available. Help is out there. My daughter is doing much better, by the way. She says hi. And that brings us to today's step, leap, and climb. If it's a next step you're looking at, start with our magic formula. Write down your X, the thing you need to do, and your Y, the place you can do it, and your Z, when you can do it. Write it on a Post-it note or make a reminder on your phone and think about what's keeping you from making that formula happen. This is really important. Writing it down is part of the magic. Writing it down helps make that happen. If you're ready for a leap, then take that formula and do what it will take to make it happen. Negotiate with yourself how long you are willing to buckle down or work on it, then negotiate a nice reward for when that time is up. And finally, if it's a climb you're looking for, commit to making that formula part of your everyday routine for 1 week. When it's done, assess how it went, take stock of everything that you accomplished, and report back in the comments how it all worked out for you. Remember, you can do this for the things you want to do too, not just the things you have to do. Maybe it's writing a story or practicing free throws or recording your own YouTube video. Comment below what your thing is and know this, you can do it if you make the right plan. I hope this really helps you on your way to becoming the you want to be. As always, let me know in the comments any topics or questions you'd like discussed. And remember, your life is your story. Write it well. Bye-bye.